Well, hello, Joe.
Hello, can you hear me? Hold on here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
all right. Yes.
Perfect. Wow. You're on the set and everything. That's fantastic. I love
Well,
that.
I was here at the studio, so I thought, well, we'll just do it over here instead of the office. So,
Oh, that's wonderful. I should basically the way we'll do this is nobody will ever see this video unless you and I decide they will. I'm going to lift the audio from it and then I'm going to edit it, send you a copy for approval, and I'll air that on the air live when we do our show next week. And then I'll take the whole conversation, minus anything we agree just plain isn't airable, and I'll hang that on our website so people can come back and listen to the whole thing from beginning to end.
sure. Sounds good.
So, and by the way, it is fantastic to see you again.
Great seeing you too.
We both had an excellent time last February
Oh,
uh,
yes. That's great.
on the Comicon cruise. When I left the cruise, I ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis for about 5 days, not
Oh, my
because of
goodness.
the cruise, but because of diabetes. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
I'm really looking forward to repeating the cruise and not repeating the hospital. Oh,
That's a
so
much.
for my guests, my guest this evening is Joe Wos, who is, among other things, the host of Cartoon Academy on WQED out of Pittsburgh, is it?
Yes, it is produced at WQED Pittsburgh. It airs on PBS affiliates nationwide and on YouTube, Cartoon Academy PBS.
Joe is also, well, he's into a number of other things. I'm currently showing him the Aquaman he autographed for me last year.
Yes,
He
featuring my
works,
good pal, Charlie the Tuna.
there
I'm
you
the
go.
artist for Charlie the Tuna of Starkist fame.
You are also involved in King Features.
Yes, I have a syndicated feature called Maze Tunes, which features cartoon illustrated mazes. Also, done a few other things, some surprises. You're going to get an exclusive right now for the upcoming Comicon Cruise. I have done a couple things. One, some special mazes featuring Popeye, Olive Oil, the Phantom, and Flash Gordon. And just sent these actually to print today. In everybody's goodie bags, they're going to get a special Comic-Con The Cruise exclusive sticker featuring Popeye and Olive, drawn by me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh no, I can't wait to tell people we have that as an exclusive and share that. Um, I assume I won't be stepping on the people at ECP's toes when I do that, but
No, no, you're fine.
either
All good.
way, I can't absolutely can't wait. That's fantastic.
Yes, in fact, I will send you the image and then you can premiere it.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's an enormous for us. Absolutely enormous. I am going to have to treat you to whatever it is you want to drink when we get to when we get to Tampa.
That
Uh,
sounds great.
so I want to talk for a minute about Cartoon Academy because I have to tell you, and I have to tell my listeners, um, you are really giving Fred Rogers vibes. You're in the studio or in the complex where Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was filmed, as I understand it. And one of the things Fred Rogers always did, and it didn't matter if you were a kid, was he issued a kind of validation when he talked to people.
Yes, yes, and that's I don't take any comparisons to Fred Rogers lightly. I mean, there will never be another Fred Rogers,
Oh
but
gosh, yeah.
his spirit is very much alive, not just in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and nationwide, but especially here at the studio at WQED Pittsburgh. This is where they filmed Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I'd gotten to meet Fred several times long before I had my own TV show, when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, and then even as a young adult. My office, where my art studio is, just across the hall from our production studio, features. I have portraits that other artists have done of Fred Rogers up on the walls. I have a letter that I received from Fred Rogers. So it has always been a very intentional, I've heard my show described as Fred Rogers meets Bob Ross. And I think that the greatest gift that I'm able to give artists of all ages is encouragement. And I think that's one of the most important things you can provide an artist at any level. You know, all you need is something to draw on, something to draw with. That's easy to find. And imagination, everybody has that. But encouragement is really tricky. Good parents, good teachers, good friends, good fans, people who like your work and say, hey, you should keep doing this. You should do more of that. Because most people at some point in their life, the reason they stop drawing is because either they saw someone who was better and thought, I'll never be that good, or they were told they weren't good enough, which is unfortunate. Everybody should draw. It's a form of communication. You speak, you listen, you read, you write, you see visual images. Why aren't you creating them? So
It's
yeah,
yeah,
every
absolutely. Art is the first it's the first thing ever left behind for humans who weren't with them currently to understand. It's our
yeah,
oldest
and
form
and
of communication.
you think about it, and it's the most lasting and universal form of communication. If I write the word cat, C-A-T, well, not everybody speaks English. Not everybody knows their alphabet. Who knows 10,000 years ago from now, whether those letters will even exist? But I draw, so
Yep,
it's universal.
absolutely. I would just I introduced my wife Catherine, who's going to be coming on this year's Comicon Cruise with us,
Oh, wonderful.
um, to Cartoon Academy a few weeks ago, and she's the one who pointed out one. We watched your Halloween episode. She absolutely adores your cats. She had the T-shirt that you have with the cats in different in different
Yes, yes,
colors. Oh, she loves that. That's absolutely her vibe. But she's the one who pointed out to me. Um, Sign your work, take pride in your work.
yes.
You
Sign your
always
name,
say,
take pride in work.
yep.
Every episode. Yes, at the end of
Uh,
every episode. Yeah, and that's an important thing to be proud of your work. It's an accomplishment. It's something you created. You should be very proud of that. And it's one of the things that I discourage teachers from the habit of having kids sign their name on the back of their drawings. Like no artist would do that. That's not what an artist does. You sign it on the front. You created something wonderful. You should be proud of it.
Absolutely. The I just have to recommend you to all of my listeners, for your kids, for yourselves. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, sit down with Joe, and that's what you're doing. Joe's
Yes.
there with you, and let him walk you through it. You'll have the best time. You and your kids will be able to cross validate one another, and you really do give your viewers the impression that you're there with them and that whatever they've done, it's worth taking pride in. And I really love that. I don't think there's another program on PBS or anywhere else that is as validating as what you're doing.
Well, thank you. That is a high praise, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. Is we want to encourage people. We want them to feel validated. We want everybody to feel that they have something of value to offer because everyone does. People always, I talk about, what's the secret to creating great art or being an artist? And I say it's practice because practice makes pretty good. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
I don't have to be the best in the world. I just have to be the best me that I can be. And that's what I tell every member of my audience is just be the best you that you can be. And nobody can do that better than you. You're the best you. So
absolutely.
that's really what I try to encourage. Everybody has their own style, their own technique, their own unique way of doing things that comes out on that paper. And boy, I love that. I definitely encourage that.
So you and I are the same age, and to be honest, most of my listeners are in that 40 something to 50 something range. I
Uh-huh.
do get some younger folks and some older folks, but really I we aim in the direction of that audience that understands what it's like to listen to radio. No on demand, wait until you hear it, be there when it's airing because it's important not to miss it and catch stuff, as it happens as opposed to having it, at your fingertips. And there are good things and bad things to that philosophy, to what you and I grew up with.
Hmm.
But honestly, it's something that not enough people comprehend in this day and age.
It's something. So I'll tell you a sort of connection to that. We're launching our new season starting in January, and each new episode on YouTube will debut on a Saturday. We encourage affiliates to air them on Saturdays. The reason being, when I was growing up, when you were growing up, Saturday mornings were a sacred time. It was a time
Cartoons,
when we
absolutely.
watched our cartoons. It was magical. It was sacred. It gave us something to look forward to. And a lot of that magic of Saturday mornings has gone. And there's something to be said about being rewarded for our patience.
My daughter's 22 years old and she's on the spectrum and doing very well, but something I've never been able to impart to her. And I imagine a lot of parents have this I wouldn't call it an issue, but this experience with their kids. It's really hard to explain what Saturday morning was to
Yeah.
people who've never experienced it.
I host a wonderful panel with Guy Hutchinson. Another, if you can tune into his YouTube and streaming, Guy Hutchinson, he's just this great pop culture expert, and we host a panel on Saturday mornings,
Oh, that's
and we talk
fantastic.
about that experience of Saturday mornings. And I'll for your younger audience who may be listening in for the first time, I'm gonna sort of just paint the picture for you, okay? You would all day long you were in school, your parents were at work, and Saturday mornings though, you would wake up. Your parents would still be in bed. You'd wake up at 6:30 a.m. You
Yep.
would go downstairs, you would reach into the cupboard, grab a box of Captain Crunch peanut butter, in my case. And if you were the oldest, you would reach all the way down to the bottom of that box to pull out the amazing toys that came
Yep.
in our cereals. Now, you only get to do that if you're oldest because, you would have priority and you were the only could reach the Captain Crunch. So you then pour yourself a big bowl of cereal and you would set that down in front of the TV. You would go up to the TV, power it on, take the pair of pliers off of the top of the TV set because the knob had long since gotten lost. TVs had knobs you would turn. You would
Yep.
turn that pair of pliers to the channel you were going to watch. You would adjust the rabbit ear antennas to make sure you got a clear signal, and then you would plop down in front of that TV for the next 4 to 7 hours. You would just watch cartoons endlessly.
Absolutely, absolutely. 6:30 was too early for the regular network stuff that was airing, so you'd catch reruns from like 67 or so of Underdog.
Yeah.
And then it would be oh gosh, I'm really trying to remember to put it in the proper order. But the really good stuff didn't start until about 9:30 or 10 when you got around to Tarzan on CBS, the Super Friends on ABC.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
and
in
that
some
was,
cases, you still had your local because the way Saturday morning started was basically Saturday mornings was a dead time. But they realized the studios could buy up, old Popeye cartoons that had run in the theaters for years, but they couldn't run them anymore. Old Popeye cartoons, old Mickey
yep.
Mouse cartoons, whatever. Hire a literal clown or sailor or cowboy to come out and say, "Hey, kids, here's another Popeye cartoon."
Oh,
We had
that's right. You're in
we
the
had
bozo
Popeye's Adventure Time.
demographic.
Yeah, we had Popeye's Adventure Time. We also had Captain Pitt,
Hmm.
was our host for the cartoons. But every town had them.
We had we when where I was in North Carolina, we had Mr. Bill. My dad had Bozo because he was
Yeah.
syndicated all over the country doing
Yes.
exactly that.
Would
And
you remember which bozo he had?
Bob Keeshan, I think,
Yeah, the original
good
though.
old
Yeah.
Captain Kangaroo, yeah. And there was another thing my dad had with a clown that wasn't um, Captain Kangaroo, and you'd send off box tops and you'd get a plastic sheath, piece of
Yeah.
mylar you'd put over the TV. And when the clown ran up to the edge of a cliff, you could draw him a bridge and he'd run across the bridge. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't remember what that one was
There,
called.
there was a couple variations of those. And what often happened is the TV station, the local weatherman was also the
Yeah.
host of your children's show, the host of wrestling. And if you were lucky, like in Pittsburgh, we had Chili Bill Cardille who would host like a late night horror thing. Uh,
Hmm.
so they would do these multiple roles, but the weathermen were the most, and weather women too, but back then it was mostly weather men were the most talented people at the station. We had
Absolutely.
one in Pittsburgh who was a ventriloquist as well. They always seem to have such big personalities, but a lot of times they would host those morning shows.
Wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't wasn't John Zachary the cool ghoul active up in your neck of the woods?
No, because we had nothing was going to place Chili Bill Cardille. In fact, Chili Bill Cardille is so popular, he actually plays one of the newscasters in Night of the Living Dead. Uh,
Okay.
and he's like the original. He actually inspired Joe Flaherty, who was also from Pittsburgh, who went to SCTV. Count Floyd was based on Chili Bill Cardille.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that sort of shows you the influence that that show had.
By the time I was watching that, I was in Tidewater, Virginia, and I was watching Dr. Madblood, which,
Oh, okay.
every region had their
Yeah.
guy, and,
Yeah.
and that was ours. So what are your best? What are your best Saturday morning cartoons? You're just about exactly my age, so you're up.
All
It's, let's say, 1976,
right.
and you're ready to go. What are you watching?
76, you mentioned one of them already, Underdog. I loved Underdog. I was a Filmation fan. So, stuff like Archie's.
Yep,
I really enjoy even Groovy Ghoulies. I liked Lou Scheimer ended up becoming a good friend of mine late in his life. He was a founder of Filmation. Your Hanna-Barbera stuff, of course. Super Friends.
yep.
Yes, even once they introduced Gleek, I was still a fan. I you'd be harder pressed to find stuff I didn't enjoy.
It's true. It
Um,
was hard to find stuff that was hard to watch. I have to admit that while bits and pieces of Sid and Marty Krofft caught my attention,
oh,
the bulk of it kind of came and went, kind of
yeah,
meh.
no, I loved Sigmund the Sea Monster
Yep.
and even Lidsville, which had Charles Nelson Riley. So even the live action stuff that still had these big cartoony puppets, I did enjoy.
Yeah.
So I love cartoon Scooby-Doo, of course, in its various incarnations over the years.
If
Maybe not so much once they introduced Scrappy-Doo, but
Yeah,
but hey, every generation has their thing that they love, and I think that's wonderful. It's one of the great appeals of
it's
something
true.
like Scooby-Doo is they manage to keep it relevant now for like
Scooby-Doo's our age. He's 50
six
plus,
decades. Yeah,
Yeah. And Scooby-Doo, I mean, we all hate Scrappy now. We all hate Scrappy now.
we do, but there's a whole generation out there that loves
Love him.
Scrappy.
Yeah, and when he was brand new, we loved him too for a
Yeah.
season, you know. But gosh, yeah, you're a Filmation guy. Let me see. Then you will have watched Tarzan and the Super Seven. And
Yes,
that
Tarzan is
Filmation
seven.
Tarzan cartoon, I argue to this day, is the best version of Tarzan that was available to anybody in its day, and one of the best cartoons ever made.
I
But
I
you'll
yeah.
recognize this guy. I
Oh,
am I am showing Joe a picture of Draco the Malvosian, as
wow.
played by Sid Haig. We got to meet Sid,
One of
and we
his,
we actually
you
got to
know,
meet Shannon
early,
Farnon from Super Friends, Wonder Woman a while back.
yeah. That was one of the things about Filmation Studios in particular is they had this real knack for finding properties that had maybe were dwindling in popularity or faded from popularity. And Louis go, there's still some life in this. And Star Trek's the best example. What Filmation did with Star Trek is just amazing. Not only did they bring back, most of the original cast, they brought back the original writers. The first Emmy ever won for a Star Trek was for the animated
Animated
series.
series. Yep.
So, that tells you sort of that. But he did that with Gilligan's Island. He did that with the Archies. He had a knack for finding properties in literature and television and film that would go, huh, you know what? I think there's more to this.
Yeah. His Lone Ranger was particularly good.
Lone Ranger was really good. Tarzan, you mentioned. Star Trek, of course. Yeah, there was a lot of
Yeah.
great stuff.
And even they even had their hand in in something called Ghostbusters, not the Ghostbusters people will recognize
But
today.
they were the original Ghostbusters.
They
They
were
they did their live action series, which starred Larry Storch and Forrest Tucker,
Forrest
who
Tucker.
I
Yep.
knew from F Troop, and
Hmm.
a gorilla, Bob Burns as the gorilla.
Yep.
And it was a short-lived live action Saturday morning series, nothing spectacular. Um, and then, Columbia is producing with, Dan Aykroyd and everybody that the Ghostbusters movie, and they hadn't settled on a name yet. But they started shooting. They shot. You could actually look this up online. You can see where they're shooting this commercial for the Ghostbusters. It's going to be within the film, but also is going to be used in promotional material. And they go Ghost Chasers, Ghost Blasters, and finally they go Ghostbusters, and that's the name they settled on. Massive marketing campaign. Find out, oops, we got a little trouble. I have to write Lou a nice big check, come out with the movie, and then Lou goes, "Oh, we still own the name to write Ghostbusters for our show, and we can do an animated version of it."
They did, and
Comes
then
out September that year, and then they come out with the Ghostbusters cartoon a week later.
the real Ghostbusters, and they had to
The
call it that.
real
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And Lou had wanted to, had it lasted longer, he wanted to rename it the original Ghostbusters,
Oh, nice,
which
nice.
would have gone back and forth for so long. I would have loved that, but
Yeah.
didn't last quite that long.
So, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of three things tonight. One of the things I definitely wanted was what's your favorite cartoon? Because I don't get to talk, for lack of a better way to put it, to kids my age very often these days.
Yeah.
At least not two-way. But I also I interviewed a gentleman a couple of nights ago who's going to be on this week's show called Tom English, and Tom is the proprietor of something called Dead Letter Press, and he reprints the old Tom Corbett Space Cadet novels,
Oh, okay.
and then he
Yeah.
manages a couple of publications that are based on classic horror and classic science fiction.
Mhm.
One is called Black Infinity, the other is called Nightmare Abbey. And I would call them quarterly, but he basically publishes them when there's a demand. And we got to talking about generative AI.
Mhm.
And I can see the expression on your face
Yeah,
subtly
the whole world
change when I
can.
say that.
Your audience listening should be able to see the expression on my face right now.
Yes, yes. And I am ashamed to admit that AI is kind of at a place where when I started the website for the radio show, I ended up using generative AI. I went back and pulled all of the art that wasn't my stuff or in the public domain out of it, but it took me a while to figure it out and fish it all out of there. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. People are using it every day with no idea that they're what
Yeah.
they're actually doing. So what I want you to do is tell my listeners what generative AI is doing.
So with generative AI, and by the way, I should preface by saying I am not against AI in principle. I think it's going to be groundbreaking for medical discoveries, for science, for mathematics. I think there are applications where AI will be beneficial. I don't understand why they are creating AI that does something we love as human beings. That makes no sense. AI can clean my toilet all at once. But I don't need it to draw. It's what I love drawing. It's like,
No,
would you hire a robot to go fish for you or golf or do the things you love? Of course not. That's ridiculous. So that aside, my not understanding it, what they do is AI basically trains on models. It basically scours the internet, scours books. I've had so much of my work stolen by AI, and it's stolen. We're not compensated. And you can actually see stuff produced by AI that'll sometimes still have the artist's signature on it.
signature on it. Yeah.
It's taking it, mushing it up, and spitting back out this stuff that we as artists call slop. Um, it's just and And now what's sort of ironic about AI is it is, as you said, so ubiquitous. There's so much of it out there that it's now cannibalizing itself. AI is training on AI, and it just has this horrible look to it that you can spot immediately.
It's one of the
Um,
two things that I think everybody needs to understand is one, eventually what you get is um, artificially generated oatmeal. It's
yeah,
just let's just
it,
steal from ourselves over and over and over.
and there's no pride in it. So even if you type in a prompt, I want a mouse wearing a toga, juggling cantaloupes, it'll spit that out for you. It'll be okay. And you'll look at it and go, "Oh, okay, there it is. There's what I thought of something, I typed it in and it spit it back out for me." Boy, you'll never have that joy or pride of having actually created something.
No, and more importantly, you'll never actually earn any money out of your work that way because
Uh,
nobody reads the small print, nobody reads the terms of service, but everything that is produced with proprietary software is at least in part the property of the proprietor.
Well, and none of it can be copyrighted either
Yeah,
because it's not made by human hands. So
yeah.
there's a lot of people online who are bragging about like, oh, I produced a film with AI, or I did this with AI, or I'm getting on. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because here's the problem with AI. You will never be a successful AI artist because ultimately the company artist to create will go, well, I can type. What do I need you for? I'm telling you what I want, and you're just going to type it in and it's going to spit it out. I could do that myself. More importantly, you don't need any of that. Pick up a pencil. There's no gatekeeping here.
Yeah.
Everyone is welcome to be an artist. Everyone is capable of being an artist. You do not need AI in any way, shape, or form to create art. It just I would rather, the one that upsets me the most, and this really, really gets me going, and I absolutely despise it. I see all these advertisements for parents. Take your kids' art and make it better through AI.
Oh my
Well, take
goodness.
your kids' art and turn it into this beautiful AI. You're destroying a child's confidence. You're destroying a child's ambition. You're destroying a beautiful work of art. There is no such thing as bad art from a child. There's no such thing as bad art from anyone who puts a pencil to paper. It's different, it's unique, it's all our own. I, I just see it as another front in the attack and the war on childhood.
I,
They don't want to let kids be kids.
I'm with you. And I think the other thing is let's not forget that, oh gosh, what is the gentleman's name? His last name is Bell. He was one of the original artists on Captain America way back in the 40s. I want to say it was like Archie. We met him at Rhode Island Comicon, I guess it would have been about 2014, and we have his autograph on something. But, think about this man who is making his living touring with work that he has done. And you experience, or some folks that we know and know of experience this over this summer. Across the aisle from him is a photo booth, and you go in and tell it what you want, and it spits out a picture of Captain America based on his art. And he's made nothing. In fact, no artist has made anything. A company got paid basically to have the booth sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, right now, and there are a lot of people be offended by this who are big AI proponents, and I don't care. It's a novelty. Okay, right now. Now, will it eventually be able to do all the great things that it claims that it's going to be able to do? Maybe. I mean, but look, if I want to draw myself in the Studio Ghibli style, I can just draw it. There's nothing AI brings to the table for me as an artist. Is it great for information? Look, I've got the Meta glasses. I use AI for research, but not images. I'll use it for taking, if I'm walking around, I could say, hey, glasses, take a picture, or wear on my stuff. So it has applications. It just doesn't have a practical application in art because the most perfect art creative tool already exists. It cannot be improved upon, and that is humanity.
Yeah,
You cannot improve upon this design. If I were a religious person, I would believe that AI is an abomination. It is an absolute disgrace because you're given all these gifts and talents from, if you believe in a creator, then why would you use AI? It's insulting.
yeah.
You know, even as a secular humanist, I find it, absolutely repugnant that people would use AI to create that most human of things,
One of
art.
the one of the things that I follow a lot online is there are a number of H.P. Lovecraft fan sites all over the place,
Mhm.
and um, the AI generated Lovecraft art is just coming out of the woodwork
Yeah. Same
everywhere. I
thing with
love to
Alice in
see it.
Wonderland.
And I'm very fond of saying to people, stop teaching artificial intelligence about the Cthulhu mythos. Um, but if you take that joke and you just rearrange it a little bit to you're teaching you're teaching this thing how to be indistinguishable from us,
Yeah.
thereby replacing us, replacing our livelihood, replacing our creativity. Um, Maybe not across the board, but even in small pockets. You have kids who can't draw as well as the computer. Why try? I mean,
Yeah. Look, I mean, if it is ever capable of doing all the things that they say it's going to be able to do, then we will be here to serve AI. AI will not be here to serve us.
yeah,
So, we'll see what the future holds. But you know what? Power goes out, I can still draw. Internet
absolutely.
goes down, I can still draw.
Absolutely.
Nothing is stopping me. I have no problem being John Henry. I will die with this pencil in my hand.
I love it. You've
No
no
problem.
idea. You have no idea how much I adore that reference. That's fantastic. I Let's see. We've covered a little bit of Cartoon Academy, a little bit of Saturday morning cartoons, a little bit of AI, and I'm really doing a big push with my listeners right now about AI because nobody can do. You liked something I posted earlier today. Do it. If it's terrible, somebody will probably still love it. If it sucks, do it again. Somebody will probably still love that too. It's
And, and the most important thing of all, do it because you love it. You
exactly,
know? I
exactly
didn't really, I knew art was going to be my career. I knew I was going to be a cartoonist, but that's not why I do it. People when people come to visit me at Comic Cons, they'll see all these sticker designs I have, okay? And they'll look and like, why do you have a Gene the dancing machine from the Gong Show drawing as a sticker? Why do you have an
yes.
Abe Vigoda sticker? Why do you have like a really obscure stuff? And I go, because I don't make them for thousands of people. I make it for me.
For me.
And
Yeah,
then I can't produce one sticker, so I'll produce 50 stickers. And then, believe me, there are fans out there. And that one person, by the way, I've had this happen now 3 times at cons. The minute they see that Gene the dancing machine, they go, is that Gene the dancing machine? Da, 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 and they start dancing.
I
It's
love it.
joy.
I love
And
it. Your stickers are always so much fun and they're always so random. They catch me by surprise and I'm so happy to see them when you publish new stuff. Guys, if you're not following Joe Wos on Facebook, go over there. Just watching him post stuff will bring you so much joy.
thank you.
Um, yeah, we're gonna be actually. I'll show you these guys. One of the things that's beautiful about my program is we'll be doing a live show, and I'll call back to Jason, my co-host, and Jason will answer me by nodding his head, and we'll get to do an absolutely wonderful, imperfect radio show with an improvisation where I have to explain to somebody how radio works. My listeners aren't going to see these.
Oh, that's great.
Popeye and Olive, and there is Sweet Pea.
There's Sleepy too.
Um, I love Popeye. I think there is we do ourselves a great disservice by not continuing to have the old King features shorts, the Little Rascals, the Our Gang Kids, Popeye, and even, Flash Gordon, uh, available to our kids. One of the things that I love to say is we used to live in a world where you went to work or to school tomorrow and you had a 1 in 3 chance of finding somebody who watched the same thing you did, who
Yeah.
saw you had a shared experience. We were all different people, but we shared some things. And television used to be one of those things that we shared. And,
Te
you know,
television became the fire we gathered around as ancients, to tell our stories. you know?
absolutely.
Um, but at its core, because people say, well, again, going back to AI, people are like, oh, you're just afraid of technology or you're afraid of them. No, no, no. The leap from storytelling to radio, from radio to film, from film to television, all had at its core the same thing: humans as storytellers.
Absolutely.
That same thread runs through it all. Um, and that's television very much was, we gather around the campfire and listen to stories, and we could do it, now worldwide. But yeah, because of those limitations of the access to content, Andy Warhol got it wrong. Andy Warhol said that in the future, everybody will be famous for 15 minutes.
Yep.
He was wrong. In the future, everybody will have their own podcast. Uh,
Absolutely.
and because this the ability to create is so accessible. You don't again don't need AI. The ability to create something viable and interesting is out there, but there's a lot of it out there. So we're not all watching the same things like we used to, as you
Yeah.
said,
And
and we do miss something in that.
so much of it now is information, and I use the words information with quotes around them, with air
Yeah.
quotes around them. It's information, and you go to the people who will give you the information you want to get the information. And you don't share, you digest the same thing that everybody else that wants to hear or see the thing that you want to hear or see is digesting. And it's a whole bunch of very closed circuits instead of around the water cooler, we're going to talk about last night's episode of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And even the people who didn't watch it are going to be like, what the heck are you talking about? Uh, that's not where we really all live anymore. And that's one of the things that we like to,
Well,
reminisce about.
I, I, I reminisce and I lament the loss of the bar bet guy. There used to be a guy at the end of every bar who knew every bit of trivia you could
Mhm.
imagine. You'd be at the bars and you'd place a little bet on who wrote the Deo song. You're wrong. That's not who wrote it. No, 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 no. And then you'd yell down to the guy in the bar like, "Hey, I'll buy you a beer. Who wrote the Deo?" Oh, blah, blah, blah. He had all the answers. And the problem now is we Google, we don't know. So
Exactly.
when we want to know something, we have access to all this information, but because we always have access to that information, we forget so fast. Knowing doesn't have that same joy and sense of achievement that it once had. Goodness, like when you would have to go to the library to take an encyclopedia off the shelf and hope that it would have the information that you knew, and if not, you'd search and you'd search. It could take you weeks before you found the information you wanted.
When
Now
you,
we have instant access, and it's wonderful to have access to all that information. But we do lose some
no, yeah,
of acquiring information.
yeah,
We
nobody earns their knowledge. And
Yeah,
as a
we
result,
no
it's
longer
not
get to
considered
enjoy the
valuable.
journey,
Yeah.
which is so much more fun.
It's one of the things those of us who are on the spectrum really still enjoy about that wonderful little thing we call hyperfocus. We
Yeah.
get to spend we get to spend a large amount of time absorbing something, and then it's back there when we move on to the next hyperfocus, and that's really neat. And I wish everybody could experience that sort of thing. But
It's sort of a superpower.
not knowledge is not worth anything if anybody can have it any time. Nothing, no commodity ever has been. And I don't know that I have any great ideas about, how the world ought to work, but I do miss the day when, we shared.
Yeah, I mean uh, you had, you know, everybody was an expert on different things. and, and you would assemble your team, you
Yep.
know, you'd have the music guy, the sports guy, the television girl, you know, whatever it was, you had everybody was an expert in something different. And sometimes, you know, your friends would have overlapping interests, of course, and you develop friendships based on that. You know, it was always a great opener, you know. Random fun facts were just a great way to get to this. And you're like, oh my goodness, I love that. That is so cool. But now it's sort of, well, I can Google anything. And again, you know, the younger generation, they have so much talent, so much skill. They're so smart. Um, I I I do think that I always have hope because I actually, you know, get to work with kids and I know how smart they are. So this is not a our generation was better than yours or we had such a better childhood than you. If you don't have, as a young person listening, if you don't have a better childhood than I did, that's my fault. I messed up because my responsibility is to make sure the next generation has it better than I did, whatever that is. You know, through just a better life, better entertainment, whatever it is. It should be better. And my parents, their job was to make sure I had it better than they did. You know, maybe there's a failing of probably my generation or the generation before me that got a little bit selfish and, you know, didn't think about how they should be making it better for the younger people. Um, but I don't believe in generational warfare. So when I say, oh, we had these wonderful experiences, it's not to in any way devalue young people's experiences now.
It's
Whatever you find entertaining is fine.
I don't
But I
I don't
encourage you to read. I encourage you to
absolutely.
learn. I encourage you, if you love something, learn everything you can about it.
Absolutely.
It'll bring you such joy.
I'm not the biggest proponent of this whole Gen X is the best, Gen X is the most awesome. You see it all over the place. And some of the
Yeah,
videos are a lot of fun and I enjoy it. But here's what's neat about people in their 50s right now. Unlike anybody else, anybody who came before them because the technology wasn't there, we got to absorb. I mean, you've seen my videos. I drive a 62 Rambler American, right?
which is great.
I have a Bluetooth speaker in it, and I tune up Pandora 1962, and I drive through town listening to Telstar and Out of Limits by the Marquettes and Jackie Wilson. We got to absorb all of that from our parents. We got to sit up and watch The Late Show and watch Nosferatu on from 1922 on the late night movie, and we got to enjoy silent films in that respect. And then we have the 70s and 80s, which are our time, and you move into the 90s and the 2000s, and the technology is there, and the entertainment and the cultural references, they're accessible to us. And
Well,
unlike anybody
I
else,
mean,
we get to enjoy it
we we
all.
are the we're the first video game generation.
Yep,
We're still part of, you know, we're the generation that actually grew up with television. It wasn't introduced in our lifetime, but it had existed and we grew up with it, you
yep,
know.
absolutely.
Video games, you know, by the time we were age 7, those were introduced. Um, but we still had, you know, in my lifetime, Groucho Marx was still alive.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Charlie Chaplin was still alive in my lifetime.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that's amazing because look, I mean, I'm sure that will be kids that right now who, you know, 50 years from now are going to say, Will Ferrell was alive when I was a kid. You know, sure, every generation has their legends, but we caught the tail end of the legends,
Yes.
the founders, the people who started film, who started radio, who started television. We still had Jackie Gleason, Lucille Ball. We had all those that were of the previous generation. We had that, and George Burns, goodness, all the way up to, you know, 100, and Bob Hope and Johnny Carson, all those things. And we also now get all this wonderful, you know, talent that is rising up. It,
Absolutely.
it's different. It's not to say one's better or the worse, but you know, I introduced my daughter to the Marx Brothers at a young age, and she still loves them. So,
Uh,
comedy is timeless.
I bump into people today in their 30s who have never seen and will never watch a film in black and white, and I'm thinking, boy, you really missed it on Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, but or Young
Yeah,
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, my
But
goodness.
we really did get to absorb all of it, all of the broadcast media, whether it's the Marx Brothers or Taylor Swift. I can't believe I'm referencing Taylor Swift while interviewing Joe Wos.
Oh, that's
But
that's fine. And again, it's one of those things I say again and again because people always want to compare everything to the Beatles, everything but to compare to the past. No, it's a new thing. It's
yeah,
okay. That's
yeah,
great. Taylor Swift. 30 years now, people will be comparing people to saying they're the next Taylor Swift.
Swift, absolutely, absolutely.
Every generation has those ones that sort of rise to the top and become iconic. And for many, it's Taylor Swift. I think it's wonderful. I think she's a tremendous performer, entertainer, business person, musician. So absolutely. You'd be hard pressed to find something generational that I go, oh, I don't get that. These kids these days. Like,
Now, now
so I might not understand it. I might not embrace it, but I'm always going to appreciate it.
you're a father of a daughter, yes?
I have a daughter and two sons.
Very good. I have one daughter, and girl dads are just the best. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I'm right there with my kid when she discovers something new, and it's fantastic. Um, Real quick, Comicon the Cruise is going to be January 30th out of Tampa until February 3rd. Are you bringing drink and draw with you?
I am bringing Drink and Draw with me.
Oh,
We're
fantastic.
also going to add Cartoon Academy out to sea. So you can actually learn to draw with me while we're out the ocean. We'll learn how to draw sharks and dolphins and crabs and all kinds of things while we're actually out there on the ocean. So,
Oh,
but drink and draw, yeah, always popular. It's probably one of my signature events I do at Comic Cons nationwide, especially GalaxyCon events. Comic-Con the Cruise is one of my few non-GalaxyCon events that I do, and this will be the second year for me. But yeah, drink and draw always a blast. For those who don't know what it is, it's basically a drawing game show where everyone's a contestant.
yep, yep. I participated in one of Joe's drink and draws on the previous cruise, and while I wasn't one of the best artists there, I had a good time, and it was absolutely worth doing.
Yes.
We had a ball. The cruise was fantastic. I've never been at a fan event where it was just one, not crowded. Nobody had. We stood in line to get into the dealer room to see you.
Yeah, there was a smaller dealer room, so it took a little longer. But thank goodness all the fans did. It was great. It was
Yeah, it
great.
was, and that was the only line on the whole cruise.
Yeah, that
You
was
you
it.
didn't have to camp for panels. You would bump into celebrities while you were getting your dinner and say hello. Um,
How about Sam Jones?
Sam was fantastic.
I got to tell your audience what Sam did. So Sam, I worked with him at other cons and stuff too. He's just such a wonderful guy. And Flash Gordon, for those who don't know, I'm assuming your audience knows, but
Oh yeah,
it's better to define it. Sam got sick on the first day of the cruise, the poor
did.
guy. And so he missed his a couple of his little events, I think. So they just announced the next day, I think, over the PA system, Sam Jones just hanging out at the bar. Go hang out with him.
I
And
was
sure
there.
enough, Sam's just sitting down on the couch. Come on over, sit down next to me, telling stories, taking just
Drinking Powerades from the bar because he was so dehydrated from being
yes,
sick.
yeah,
I went
yeah.
down
But
there
that's
and caught Sam and sat with Sam for the better part of 45 minutes and ingratiated myself by taking pictures for people with Sam.
yeah.
People would come up and go, "Can we get a picture?" And I'd go, "I'll take that." And I sat across from Sam for probably, like I said, 45 minutes, just getting folks pictures as they moved through. And we had the best time.
So I have to tell you, when they announced, approached me about the Comic Con cruise the first year, I was hesitant because I said, oh, this isn't quite the kind of thing I normally do. Like normally when I'm at a convention, I'm a different situation. I'm doing a lot of programming, I'm paid to be there and all sorts of things, but it was a free cruise. And then I saw the list of the celebrities and artists they were inviting, and I noticed a pattern. George Takei was there, Sam Jones was there, all the wonderful artists were there. And what I noticed was like, they intentionally picked the most personable celebrities you could pick.
Yep.
Just these people who are very, very kind, very good with their fans, not at all standoffish. And that was a wise because you're going to be trapped on a boat,
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
ship. You're trapped on a ship with people for a couple of days. You're gonna bump into these celebrities and stuff. The fans were great because while the celebrities were approachable, if they saw a celebrity was eating, there was none of that bothering them while they're eating or anything like that. Everybody was just great, from the celebrities to the fans. It was
Yeah.
just a wonderful experience. So I was just ecstatic when they invited me back this year.
It was Jonah Heston was like my buddy for 2 days. I really enjoyed that. I say Jonah Heston, I mean Jonah Ray from Mystery Science Theater.
Ah, yeah.
He's Jonah Heston on the show, and sometimes I slip like that. But I've met Billy Boyd, and he's the most friendly, soft-spoken, personable guy, and he's going to do fantastically on this. Alex Kingston, my goodness, I'm a Doctor Who fan from way back. Scooby-Doo and Doctor Who have been with me my whole life, and Arthur Darvill. I've met Arthur
Yeah.
Darvill. He's easygoing. We've got a similar crowd of people to the last
Yeah,
cruise.
I'll tell you what, I'm excited. And we can give you another little sneak preview here. Doug Jones, yes, will be there, who was the creature in Shape of Water.
Yep.
Okay. The creature in Shape of Water, the name on the call sheets and on the door of his dressing room was Charlie the Tuna.
Right.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm the artist for Charlie Tuna. I've created a special limited edition print. I think I'm only going to do 100 of them that is of the creature with Charlie the Tuna. You
That's
are not going to have another opportunity if you're coming to this. You're not going to have another opportunity to get it signed by both me and so by Charlie and the creature.
And I should say to my listener, I'm not actually affiliated with Comicon the Cruise or Epic Cruise Productions, but they're offering the best deal right now that you're going to get, and they do have space. It's not too late for you to come and join Joe and myself and Eve and Jason and all these wonderful celebrities on the cruise. And let me tell you, you will literally never live to regret it. It was fantastic. And
I'll tell you what you do too, because I took a friend of mine and she uh, is not a pop culture Comic Con person, but I said it's a cruise. You go enjoy the cruise. I'll
yeah,
enjoy the Comic Con. It's fine. It's great. But what ended up happening is she left going, boy, Comic Con people.
I think I lost you there. You're frozen. Huh. Joe, I think I've lost you. I lost you there for a second, Joe. Wow, I lost you there. I'm not sure what happened.
That's okay. I just reconnected, so we're back.
You were telling us about your friend who. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she's not a Comic Con person. I said, you'll enjoy the cruise, just come on the cruise. Ended up leaving going, wow, the Comic Con people were so nice, it was such a wonderful experience. I wish I would have done cosplay. I wish I would have participated in more of the Comic Con stuff. So now she's coming this year and going to participate in more of the Comic Con side of things. So it's a great way, if you have a partner, a spouse, a friend who maybe doesn't quite get your geek side thing,
Mhm.
like, hey, it's a cruise. Come on, I know you like a cruise. So it's a perfect balance for that. And who knows? They may see the light
Absolutely.
or
And
the lightsaber.
It's only a couple of months away. I can't wait. I got a glow in the dark duck I'm saving for you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
and we have you'll be up on deck 10 or wherever they're going to put the guests this year. And you won't get down to deck 3, but if you do, look for the door with the Phantom Star posted on it,
I sure will.
and we'll be there. Um,
Absolutely.
for the sake of the interview, well, actually, I'll probably edit this a little bit out, but thanks so much, Joe, for joining us. And folks, check out Cartoon Academy. Um, you just I cannot recommend it enough. Please go and take a look and support public television. It is one of those few things that we can all have in common if we just treat it kindly, preserve it, and support it.
It's truly for the public. So we absolutely support your local public station. You can tune in Cartoon Academy, PBS affiliates, or subscribe on YouTube, Cartoon Academy PBS.
So I think we'll say goodnight there for the sake of the interview. The guests won't hear this, and if I can, I'll turn the recording off now. There we go.